Welcome to World Update on the Persecuted Church with Release International. Coming up in this edition, special reports on Orissa and Indonesia.
We may have lost everything, but we will never turn our backs on Christ. I still have joy, and I'm thanking God despite my circumstances.
I feel hurt, yes, but now I and my other friends can pray. We will be able to forgive our enemies.
First, other news in brief from Iraq and Iran. Militants have killed up to 7 Iraqi Christians in Mosul, and thousands have fled the city. Some observers believe the attacks are part of a campaign to drive out Christians from the area. British Foreign Secretary David Miliband has pledged opposition to moves in Iran to impose the death penalty on Muslims who change their religion. He says the proposed law would violate the right to freedom of religion. For our first report, we turn to India, where the death toll has continued to rise as militant Hindus extend anti-Christian attacks across 12 states. The attacks began in August after a Hindu leader was murdered. Although Maoist guerrillas have claimed responsibility, Hindu militants have targeted Christians for reprisals. The extremists want a Hindu-only India. Right-wing mobs are trying to force Christians to convert to Hinduism on pain of death. The confirmed death toll is well past 50, with more than 18,000 injured and tens of thousands driven from their homes. CBN's George Thomas has been talking to Christians who survived the attacks. What they have to say is distressing.
They asked him, "Will you deny Christ and become a Hindu?" He said no. Then I saw the Hindu mob pour gasoline on my brother-in-law, and they burnt him alive.
They surrounded the church, and within minutes the whole building was on fire.
I could hear them coming towards my house and chanting, "Come out, Christians, you don't belong here. If your God is real, come out and face us."
They broke into the house and started beating me. Then they dragged me out front and pulled out a sword. Another person had an axe in his hand.
All I could do was grab my 3 children and run. We ran for our lives into the jungle. We spent nights hiding without food or water.
In this remote eastern region of India, Hindu radicals are accused of a deliberate and systematic campaign to eradicate Christians from the land.
Every single Christian denomination has been attacked. Our schools, our colleges, our orphanages, everything that Christians own, Christian home, Christian institution, Christian churches have been attacked.
At the root of the conflict, say Christian leaders, are efforts by Hindu radicals to stop lower caste Hindus known as untouchables or Dalits from converting to Christianity.
We return to Orissa, India, later in the program to hear from the Dalits who are turning to Christ and their response to attempts to reconvert them to Hinduism by force. Indonesia now, where there have been attacks on Christian Bible schools. Students were driven from one college in a dispute over land. Earlier, Christians were driven from another campus by militants throwing acid. Indonesia, home to the world's largest Islamic population, is building up to next year's presidential election. To retain power, President Yudhoyono needs the support of the Islamic parties, who are becoming more and more assertive. They've already forced the closure of many churches and institutions. Lucille Talisan reports on one attack on an evangelical theology school.
Lucas is thankful he was miraculously spared from becoming blind after angry members of the radical group Islamic Defenders Front threw acid on his head, face, and other parts of his body. He and Ardian are among the 18 students who were injured while police were evacuating them from the Arastamar Evangelical Theology School.
I feel hurt, yes, but now I and my other friends can pray. We will be able to forgive our enemies.
In recent years, there have been several attacks against the Bible school because the Muslim residents in the neighborhood complained about the evangelistic activities of the students. The extremists then used the megaphone of the mosque and called on the people to attack their unwanted neighbors.
I was so afraid. They threw stones at our dormitory. They wanted to execute us, but I don't want to be angry with them. I need to pray for them.
The attacks have forced the Erastimar Evangelical Theology School to temporarily shut down its 20-year-old campus. The area is now heavily guarded by members of the Islamic Defenders Front.
The FBI attacks every group that opposes them. Unfortunately, even the government cannot control them. We are moving to a smaller building that the government is giving us. We are undergoing this trial now, but God has a plan, and we believe in God's time He will change everything and He will help us to stand again.
For the students of Erastimar, they are determined to pass this test of faith with flying colors. Lucille Talusan, CBN News, East Jakarta, Indonesia.
Please pray for the Christians of Indonesia and that the authorities will stand firm against militants who are flexing their muscles in the build-up to the presidential elections. We return now to Orissa, India, scene of growing attacks against Dalits, the lowest of the low in India's caste system, who are converting to Christianity.
The Hindu mob wanted us to convert back to Hinduism. They told us that if we became Hindu and rejected Christianity, we could stay. Otherwise, they would burn our homes and we would have to leave the village.
Dalits make up 1/5 of India's 1 billion-plus population. They live on the margins of society and are often described by Hindus as less than human. Christian groups say lower caste Hindus convert willingly to escape the 3,000 years of discrimination under the caste system.
So when we talk of what is happening to Dalit, it's a freedom movement. And what happens in a freedom movement? They're seeking any one way which will make them free. Christianity offers them one way.
The Hindu gods did nothing for me. They didn't bring me any peace. They could not answer my problems. But in Christianity, I found true peace and freedom from the Hindu caste system.
But some Hindus have accused Christians of converting Dalits against their will.
They use bribery and money to trick Dalits into becoming Christians. Conversions and Christian missionaries are a threat to India.
Prakash Sharma is one of the key leaders in Bajrang Dal, an influential extremist Hindu group that's suspected of spearheading the attacks against Christians.
My message to Christians in India is stop your conversions. The violence in Orissa is a reaction by Hindus to these conversions.
CBN News met survivors of the Orissa attacks who described Christians being forcibly converted to Hinduism under the threat of death. The violence has left more than 50,000 Christians displaced. Most of them are crammed into relief camps like this one. Thousands are said to be missing or hiding in the jungles.
And the situation for these Christians isn't getting much easier. There are reports that the Hindu radicals have made threats against them, saying that if they intend on coming back to their destroyed villages, they must renounce Christ.
We will never do that. We may have lost everything, but we will never turn our backs on Christ. I still have joy, and I'm thanking God despite my circumstances. Please pray for us that we can go back to our destroyed homes, rebuild them, and be a stronger witness for God among the non-Christians of our village.
Our thanks to CBN News. Do please pray for the Christians of Orissa as they return to live among their persecutors. Pray for the strength to forgive and to love their neighbors. There's a challenge here for us too, to not just shake our heads, but to get serious about our own faith, to make the most of our precious freedom, to pray and provide for our brothers and sisters under pressure. Release is working with its partners in India to provide a relief package to Christians who are the victims of extremist violence. The All India Christian Council is calling for food, clothing and medical aid, as well as help reconstructing homes and churches damaged or destroyed by Hindu militants. Please help us to help them. To find out how you can partner with a persecuted church, sign up for Release magazine. Goodbye and God bless.